Hello, welcome back. We're gonna now do the assignment, or rather continue on the assignment. We kind of talked about it, but we didn't really start. And what I want to do is show exactly how I would approach this project and give you some idea on what we're after. Um, First off, let's make our document size 5 inches by 5 inches, 300 pixels. Simple enough. That's what I came up with yesterday. Really, that would work just fine. We've got, for example, our shapes. We've got our text. I'm kind of interested in doing a little bit less text. For example, Carly's demo, she just did, all hers said was Merlot. So that could be like a advertisement that they put up at a bar or something, at a hotel lounge or something like that. And that's fine. You don't have to, do too much text, or you don't have to have a call to action. It can be kind of more of a classy ad, and I think with Art Nouveau you probably see that. So if you just give me some text, whether it be one word or a few words, that's fine. If you want more detail in your ad, you can also use more text, but give me some sort of text. That's one criteria. Aside from anything that's asked for, such as the size, make sure that it's 5 inches by 5 inches. We're going to do that here. 5 by 5 at 300 DPI. That was the point that we want to make. So 300 DPI. And the other key with this is that you're using some form of vector tool in Illustrator. And basically, the vector tools in, Photoshop. So the vector tools in Photoshop are this pen tool here, and these shape tools. You probably see this kind of little blob thing. So any of these are all vector based. So those are the two that you're going to use. Really, I believe that is all as far as all these other, if you use a marquee, that is raster. But if you use any of these shape tools, that is vector. So those are the ones that you're going to use. And like we've said before, if you want to use some raster imagery to get your effect, to kind of make your image look more antique, and you want to use some of that texture, go right ahead. Absolutely, I would encourage that. Make it look authentic. Make it look like it's old and tied to the Art Nouveau movement and has that organic style applied to it. That's awesome, but just make sure that you're also going to use some vector tools somewhere in your project as well, and some text, and you should be good on this. So here we've got our document. Let's first off start kind of researching Art Nouveau a little bit. I've already looked on Wikipedia. It's obviously not the only resource, but there's quite a bit about it. I recommend you familiarize yourself with it. It's also called the Liberty style. You can also look at Art Deco, as that's a kind of a similar style. But really what we're after is the Art Nouveau. It's kind of more flowy, more kind of those natural shapes, as opposed to Art Deco, which was more blocky, angular. But I would first off do probably start by just getting some inspiration here. Google search, for example. We did an Art Nouveau font yesterday. If you don't have any on your computer already, I have the one. I think that'll work for me, but you might do things like Art Nouveau design. And you'll get some different examples. Art Nouveau graphic design, there's a search that might yield some interesting results. Charles Rene McIntosh is a name that did, his name's coming up right there. He is known for the Glasgow School and starting that. Looks like So late 1800s, but I'm not sure exactly when he started that school. I think it was early 1900s, but he's another person you could research, as well as any of the fine artists, Egon Schiele. Let's see, who else? Klimt. Number of different names that you could research, but I think if you just start with this is a good one, Art Nouveau graphic design, I think you'll end up with a lot of different options. We can look at some of the images here. Wikipedia is not a bad place to start with this as well. You can just get an idea for the shapes and kind of style that you're looking at for this project. And one of the things that I came up with, I wanted to do, like, I kind of like the idea what Carly did in the videos with Merlot, and I'm going to do something a little bit different. But for example, I want to use some wine glasses. I like the elegant shape of this, and I'm just going to drag it into my project here. So maybe what I could do, it doesn't matter if this is just an image that I have. I'm just going to use it as kind of a reference. But I'm going to take my pen tool because that's going to be vector. And since this is a perfectly symmetrical image, I just have to do half of it. I don't have to do the whole thing. But that pen tool works very similar to the pen tool in Illustrator. I'm going to come along, kind of put these points at the apex of the curve, and I don't care if it's exactly on this curve, as long as it looks graceful and elegant at the end of this. That's all I'm really going for. I may not even care about this base now that I think about it. So maybe something like that. So there's a few differences on how you access these. The arrow, direct selection, the white arrow tool, still A on Photoshop is the shortcut to get to that, or you just have to select it here. You can kind of drag these around as you want. And if I want to select all of these, I can do that. Copy and paste. Whoops. It does work a little bit different than the pen tool Illustrator. So let's say I wanted to make two. I'm just doing an option drag in this case. I could have copied and pasted, but for some reason that did not work. It might help me to close some of these because I'm getting a real delay. I think I want to save that. This is a big image and it's eating up a lot of RAM when I have this open. So let me close some of these projects. Actually, I might want to use that. I'll save that one. Okay, let's go title 1. All right. All right, a few things maybe we could fix here. I just want these lines to look graceful, and well, that's where I copied and pasted. So, oops. I don't really mind if it is different. Like I said before, I don't care if it's different from the glass. Make sure though that I don't have two versions of the path going on there. I kind of like that shape, the elegant shape that we see here. You see that a lot in Art Nouveau styles. So I'm just going to use it. I'll go over to paths, and this allows me to work with this a little bit more. One of these things now, some of these, and my working in Photoshop, it's been a while since I've worked with the paths in Photoshop, for example, and tried to flip this. So I can't remember if this is actually going to work. Flip horizontal. Fortunately, it did. So that's good. Probably the more useful tool is the white arrow tool with the pen tool here. So little things like this, I don't mind this completely, but yeah, I could use a stroke or trying to figure out what do I want here exactly. Maybe I want to continue that from the top to the bottom. I'm really not sure 100% what I want to do, but I'm kind of like fascinated by this shape in the wine glass and how it curves like this, and it's just kind of interesting. I just want to work with that somehow, and I could add a stroke at this point, but if you see, it can be stylized. We can have this really thin right here. Maybe that looks kind of neat. I think I have this on. Let me actually make sure that I'm using the exact same. That's from where I cut and pasted earlier. So as long as this looks good, and it does sometimes take a while to work with these anchor points so that it does look good. I based it on the original wine glass, and like I said, it doesn't matter if you change your mind and want to customize it yourself. But all I know at this point is I want to do that Merlot ad, and just keep it really simple in the text and just have the one word like what Carly did. And that'll work as my ad as well. This could be like a flower vase. As I look at it, it's just an interesting kind of curve, and you see a lot of those kind of curve shapes happening in the Art Nouveau style. So let's, I want to stick with the wine though. I could do flowers and I could do many different things, but I'm going to go for the Merlot and the wine theme here. So let me, once again, I'll just Command C, Command V, and I just copied and pasted this on top of that shape vector path here. And we'll transform path, flip horizontal, and that white arrow works much better than the regular select with the path tool. So that might, take some getting used to. Now this is a little bit better if you notice that because it's exactly symmetrical. It's just a little bit more graceful and kind of nice. I think I like that style. Some other things I might want to do here is connect my paths. So back to the pen tool, we'll connect that there. Down here, we'll, let's see, make a couple. I'm not going to use this part, but we'll just go ahead and make a bottom part. So if you're ever hung up on using this pen tool, just remember, I keep doing this. I keep going to my black arrow, my regular arrow tool, but it's not very useful with the pen tool. The much more useful one is the direct selection tool right below it. Might be why they grouped it in close proximity there, because they're kind of related. That pen tool with the white arrow tool. Much easier to use and select these individual points and move those around than it is to use this black arrow. Kind of what you're used to using in Photoshop doesn't work so well with the pen tool. It's for other things. Use that direct selection, you'll have much better luck with that. All right, so we can add a stroke at this point. I could add a fill. I could do many different things. One of the things that I want to do straight off the bat is it says work path right now, which means Illustrator is going to automatically delete it if I don't title it something. I could just keep it as path 1. That's fine. But I think I'll just name it wine glass 1. Oops. Wine glass 1. Hit return, and now that's not going to delete. You know, if I was to click off it, I can click back on it. If I click off, you see it's not there anymore, but you see it's here in the paths layer, so it's still there. So I could stroke it. I could do a. I'm kind of thinking what I want to do is do some sort of fill. Go back into layers. And maybe just the glass itself. So Command-Shift-I to invert it. And that wasn't quite the color I was after. Maybe we could just use kind of anything here. You know, I'll just use that color for now. That's another thing. At this point, maybe I'll want to design kind of a color scheme. Maybe this search that I did for Art Nouveau graphic design is going to yield some good ideas in terms of color schemes that I can use and what's popular, what's been used for this era. I really like this one. Really, this one's catching my eye. And you see those kind of textured pattern or kind of faded effects going on in here. This blue with the yellow, the red. I really like this color scheme. I don't know if it's really suited so much for Merlot. So, you know, it's something that I'm drawn to, but, you know, maybe I want to keep looking if what I'm after is a Merlot app. Maybe for Merlot, I want more burgundies, reds, maybe even some kind of browns, maybe some yellow ochres, that sort of thing. So I can also make my own. I can keep looking for something that seems to catch my eye in terms of colors that I like and that fit with what I'm after here. This may be kind of like that with the yellow and that kind of rust color there. Keep that one in mind. This one's kind of interesting. It's got a red-green, so complementary. I could go that route. I know I want some darker red in it. And just kind of keep thumbing down, trying to find, keep scrolling down, trying to find something that catches my eye here. Anyways, I won't spend too long on that. I like this one. So what I want to do is just screenshot that. I'll just end up right on my desktop. And I also like the original one that kind of got my attention. This one could work as well. This one caught my attention the most. I really liked it. Oh no, it's actually capturing the chat window that I see when I'm looking at Zoom. That's okay. I think we got enough of the color. You can't see that recording on my computer. I got that big chat window in front. Okay, so we'll maybe get some reds here. Burgundies. Add to swatches. Get a couple of light greens. Add to swatches. Dark green. It's kind of a brown, actually. I didn't know that. Interesting. Add to swatches. Darker brown. So there's the one. Get one more color here. And here's this other one. Add the swatches, and we'll get the orange and the yellow and the blue. Definitely these faded colors have this interesting effect, I think. I missed that blue for some reason. Add to swatches. There we go. A little bit of red in that one. So we got a good sampling of colors here to use. We can close those. We're done with them now. Both of those, if you notice, they did have that kind of rough textured effect, kind of the antique looking effect that we were doing, kind of trying to approach earlier in the class that Vicky was asking about. So it's very common that you're going to see that texturizing. In Art Nouveau. All right, let's see. Talk about negative space. This is kind of interesting. This is an interesting aspect. We have kind of this, I had this idea that I don't know for sure I'm going to do it, but kind of thought it was cool. I'm kind of not exactly sure what I'm going to do yet. But these are not the colors that I'm after. maybe we can start working with the background color first. Let's get background in here. I can either double click on this layer, make it layer 0, or one thing I like to do is just go solid color. You can add that background in there. And I need one of my colors, I think, like I'm not sure if I'm going to go monochromatic on this one, but I'm thinking dark background. We can start with that and see what we end up with. And these I'll double click, and we can just do a color overlay. That will work. Might choose to use the purple. I don't have to use that other color scheme that I sampled. Click this. So the red-green complement, kind of a good way to go. Color overlay. And I'm looking at them, I'm thinking, well, might be more interesting if they were red and the background was the green. Click on this first, and then I can access. This was a let's try that, and then that back here. I'm going to try this green background. These other colors. Green. Double click. I can double click directly on the layer mask down here and access that more quickly. Probably don't want that one to be the most intense color. I probably want this one here as more of the focal point, more in the center. See here, that was the difference that I was talking about. If I just click on here, double click, I'll go to the main layer style. So I'll have to start at the top more or less. But if I click on overlay, color overlay down here underneath it directly, then I go straight to that window. So it's faster that way. So anyhow, let's see, let's change this to maroon. Why didn't that change? Doesn't seem to have changed. Probably because it's 63%. So what we can do here is make this one more opaque. All right, well, I kind of like how it's coming along. I'm not sure exactly what I want to do yet. Asymmetrical kind of layouts was popular with Art Nouveau. So we can look at just some different options here. Consider. I also have to think about where do I want my text. Go back. Yeah, kind of like that. And all right, so it's starting to get somewhere. Go ahead and put our text in. Obviously, we don't want to just use any old font. Certainly not Arial for this project. For art direction is for Art Nouveau, then got to use the appropriate typefaces. Of course, if you don't have one that really works for Art Nouveau, then there's plenty of free fonts that you can actually Google, like we did yesterday. So let's see, I think it was, what the name of my font was that I was using yesterday. It was Amazinga. Yeah, Amazinga. It's almost like, you know, not quite what I'm after. I feel like I could find something better, but you know, I don't want to go and find a font right now and download it. It'll take longer than I have, and I feel like I need to wrap this video up kind of fast, like in the next 10 minutes. I don't want this to go beyond 4:30. So I might just end up using this one. This one would qualify as kind of an Art Nouveau style font. So this would work. Obviously got some problems with kerning here with the L and the O. Fix that. I like to just drag these either way. The O and the T, that O looks like the font designer maybe didn't kern that or adjust the metrics in that very well. All right, so there's really all it's going to say. Maybe we want it a little larger. This might be interesting. Split two lines like that. Maybe. And if it's one word, you can also get away with things like this because you can read it. There's no real like interference going on. Kind of liking that. Also kind of like it coming off the end or the top. Something like that. All right, so that's coming along. I think I like how it is. Yeah, I think it works, and still see a lot of space between here, that letter L and the O, but I could mess with that a little bit more. Now it gets tough though. Now it gets a lot harder to adjust things. Taking it out. Taking it out of the regular position. I don't know. I won't mess with this too much more, but do you want to make the point that on your projects, always be looking at the kerning. I have the tracking set for 20, and that was actually a setting that I had in there before that worked. I kind of like that. So I just kept that. Tracking and kerning, very important, especially on these display sizes. So keep that in mind. One thing that I want to do, I just want to try and see how this looks here. If we double click on this, change this. I kind of like it, but I also want to see how it looks. Like that. Kind of like this a little more. And why don't we get another shape in here? We've got, so far we've got our text, we've got our shape that we made from the pen tool, the wine glass, and you know, what else can we add? Maybe not like I'm looking to add things, but it's almost there. I think maybe even like a kind of a little ornament like this could be fun. So just to show that we're using those vector tools. Put that down here. And it looks kind of good. You know, you can hang it in the bar or the hotel lounge or wherever, you know, kind of an ad for entice people to drink wine. And it's not necessarily an ad as in like, you know, click here, buy now, you know, direct ad like that, but it entices people to stay and hang out, you know, while they're in the lobby, the waiting room or something. That's kind of the idea behind this type of ad. So anyhow, that's, we'll call that one good. And, you know, if you just keep your shapes in mind, keep something. I mean, we could also weather this. We could figure out a way to kind of make this, let's do that because we've talked about that all earlier today. Let's maybe add some texture. So make it, give it that kind of agey look in some areas. I'll just select my brush. We can, the one that I liked for creating textures was this number 54 in the wet media brushes. Obviously not the only choice. You can choose many of these different ones. We'll probably Fox Finish or Faux Finish, this one. Probably have a ton of good examples like this that would create interesting textures, but I'm just gonna, you know, use this. I'll send it to the background here in just a second. So we're just giving it that extra touch that you know, that's kind of neat too. Like you can experiment with that and discover new things that you weren't quite prepared for. Happy accidents, and as Bob Ross would say, always fun when you come across those. So we can try these different blend modes. You can try to boost the opacity, and you know, already you kind of see that whole texture. I think is adding a lot more to it, and it took me like 2 seconds to try something out, and lo and behold, it's like, yeah, that's actually doing quite a bit more. I think it's kind of nice. Oh yeah, Lydell says his kids are addicted to Bob Ross. That's cool. I've tried a few of his paintings. They didn't come out too bad, actually. I went exactly by the directions that he was going, and they weren't quite as good as what he was doing, but they did come out pretty well. Surprisingly, he just like slaps that brush down on the canvas and he's got a happy little tree. So I mean, he's definitely a master when it comes to his style of painting.
And then when he's done with the paint, he beats the devil out of it.
Yeah, he's if you like his style, I mean, he's quite good at what he does. All right, so I'm trying to figure out what did we do here that, all right, this one had an opacity setting. So I'm just trying to make that kind of match this over here more. You know, these could hang up as signs or something in the lobby, or I don't know. It's always good to try to, I think, try to picture where might this be. So we could play around with that a little bit, but I'm going to call that good. I think I could keep working this more, but I think most people get the idea here. So demo assignment, obviously you want to call it the name that you're working. I mean, if you notice too, I didn't put much detail in a lot of this and it still works. I see things like, well, maybe I could add some wine, like, so there's a level in the glass, and maybe that would help it, maybe it wouldn't. But you have to find that balance between doing too much and not enough. But anyhow, so we'll call that good. Did you have any questions, Lido? Okay. All right. Well, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. And I look forward to seeing your projects this weekend. See ya.